Good afternoon. Today, inshallah, we will continue talking about the code of conduct at the workplace. We will focus mainly on the ethical use of the company information and the property, which is related to those 5 major points, which are ethical use of the company information, ethical use of the company's assets, financial reporting and accounting, managing risk, as well as ethical use of the email and the internet. So let's start first by the ethical use of the company information. What is the company information? It includes all the information that not made available to the public and might be of use to the competitor and may cause harm either to the company itself or to the stakeholders and even to the customers if disclosed. Like what? Like information about the marketing strategies, financial data, trade secrets, joint venture information, and information about employees as well as the customers. So what are the customers' information? The customer information includes all the information that's provided to the company by its customers, like home address, marital status, medical history, as well as employment file. All employees and directors, they are having and sharing their responsibility towards keeping on the information of their company, and they cannot reveal this information to anyone outside their company, even if to a relative or a close friend. Exception is made if a disclosure is required only by a legal authority. Here, the company has no choice except revealing the required information, and this should be done in an ethical and approved manner. All employees and directors, they are sharing their responsibility towards protecting the information of their company against theft, against misuse, against unauthorized access, as well as loss. And they have to know that disclosure at any of their company's information might make their company subject to either financial or legal or commercial liability risk. So if you are a new hired employee, just hired to a new company, and you are having a set of materials regarding the marketing strategies of your former employer, so would you use this information in order to prepare the marketing plans of the new company that you have started to work for? Would the new company allow such an action? Actually, no. This is totally unethical. As long as the company is protecting its own information, therefore cannot allow and cannot use the information of the other competitor or other company, even if it's a competitor, because it has to protect also and not to use also the information of the other company. It has to protect the privacy of the other company. This how ethics works. So right now let's move to the ethical use of the company's assets. What are the company's assets? Company's assets are all items of value to the company. Could be tangible and intangible as well. Tangible, like the furniture, fixtures, computers, stationery, as well as vehicles and real estate and all other properties belongs to the company. Also, for the intangible, includes the company time, the mail service, as well as the intellectual property of the organization or of the company. All employees and directors, they having the responsibility towards protecting the company's assets against loss, against misuse, against damage, against fraud, against any unauthorized access. The same as the information. And if they would like the company to dispose of any of the company's assets, this should be done in an ethical and approved manner. However, sometimes the company may accept to use any of the company's assets for personal usage, like using the telephone of the company for making a personal call if there is no other way of communication. This is permissible as long as it's kept to the minimum level and it's for a legal purpose. So these are the most important points concerning the ethical use of the company assets. Let us move to the item number 3, which is related to financial reporting and accounting. So one of the most important points that we have to focus on in this, because we may find from time to another many scandals happen to big companies due to misuse of the financial records and having fraud or wrongdoing action. So it's one of the most important points. All employees and directors, they must know that all financial records and accounting records and all the other financial reports must be done in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principle and should represent and should reflect the true nature and the actual nature of its transactions. Otherwise, there will be a fraud or a wrongdoing actions, which is not permissible. And no falsing entries and no or inappropriate entries are allowed or acceptable at the company. No employees or directors should engage in making or preparing such false entries or inappropriate entries. And if there is a suspicious towards having false entries or any fraud or having any fake data or inaccurate data or not recording any kind of cash funds, this should immediately be disclosed to the right and the responsible person at the company, because this is definitely a violation of the code of conduct, which is not permissible. And actually we are having many scandals years ago and still now, and from time to another we are hearing about such a scandal due to having fraud or having misrepresented data or fake data. And I'll tell you right now an example of this, which happened at year 2000, nearly 2001, at United States, to one of the biggest, not only one of the biggest 5 auditing firm at the United States, but also at all over the whole world, to a company which was called Arthur Andersen. This company was convicted of obstruction of justice because this company or its top management ordered its senior management to shred documents which were an evidence for its wrongdoing action and its fraud. Because this company was auditing or was the auditor of one of the biggest also companies at the United States, which was called Enron, and Enron company was having losses and were creating fake companies on papers and were transferring these losses to the fake companies, and they were claimed to the stakeholders and to its shareholders that they were able to gain revenues, they were not having losses. And they continued to deceive all the stakeholders for years, along 10 years. And of course, its auditor was knowing about that matter and was helping in this by concealing this information and not revealing this at its auditing reports to that company. And when that matter was known to the public, this led to issuing laws and regulations to urge and to ensuring that the importance of the accuracy and the accountability of the auditing firms, as well as to impose severe sanctions and penalties for violating and for having wrongdoing action and for defrauding the shareholders, as well as urging for the importance of the independence of the auditor company from their clients. And because of this company was out of business. I mean, Arthur Andersen, the auditing firm, was out of business due to its fraud and its wrongdoing actions and misleading the whole and the public and the stakeholders of Enron company, as well as withdrawal its licensing or its auditing license, and were, as I said, was out of business and dissolved it. I think due to this, we have to understand very well that always committing to and working and aligning with the code of conduct and the principle of code of conduct is very important to always sustain our business and our operations and be in the market competing and to be always on the right ground. So right now let's move to the item number 4 at our ethical conduct of the information, which is relating to managing risk. What is risk? Risk is any possible event that might adversely affect the company. Managing risk doesn't mean to eliminate the risk completely, but to find the balance between the potential rewards and the untellable risk. It means also to ensure that all our activities do not ignore any obvious risk. And if any one of us become aware or suspicious of any of the activities that may yield risk, then this should be discussed immediately with the person in charge of this. This is the meaning of how to manage the risk at the company. Alright, now let's move to item number 5, which is relating to the ethical use of the company email and the internet as well. Internet and email is made available to every one of us in order to facilitate in communication, whether internally or externally. However, there are some precautions all managers and employees must be familiar with when you are using the email or the internet. Like what? Like not to download any files that is large in size unless by having a permission from the information technology section. Also by not participating in non-work related chat lines. Also like not participating in any sites that may carry political or socially offensive material. Like also not sending harassing or threatening messages to anyone inside the company or outside the company through using the email or the internet of the company. Like not to play games at time of the company. Like also not to gamble through the internet available to each one of us at the company. This definitely creates violation of the code of conduct, and everyone is doing this should be subject to punishment for having such an action at the workplace. However, sometimes the company understand that our business takes us away sometimes from our personal affairs. Therefore, there is acceptable limited use of the internet and the email when it's kept to the minimum and when it's legal. Like sometimes I'm emailing my husband for some personal issues like picking up the kids from the school, issues like that. Is it ethical? Yes, it's ethical and also it's permissible as long as it's kept to the minimum and it's legal. So those were the 5 major elements of having code of conduct concerning the ethical use of the company information and the property. I hope that each one of you had made a good use of it, and I hope that you read also at these topics in order to just open your horizon of knowledge concerning these items and to commit to these principles, even if you are not working in an ethical environment, but as they always say that values and principles comes directly from the person himself. And by having this, he will be the most successful employee or director ever. By this, we came to the end of our session of today. Hope that you had made a good use of it. Until we meet again, it's goodbye.